Welcome to the Emerging Professional Series at the Coffee Corner Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum, TIF, and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is M&A and to ESG, the professional odyssey of Akshay Lakra. Few professionals have walked as dynamic a path as Akshay, from navigating mergers, acquisitions, and tax advisory in top firms to transitioning into the world of sustainability, compliance, and ESG strategy at WSP Global. His journey is one of adaptability, growth, and forward act vision. Akshay embodies the modern professional who seamlessly blends financial acumen with sustainability, leadership. In this episode, we sat down with him to explore his professional milestones, his pivot towards ESG, and the person beyond the strategies. So he's a senior specialist at WSP Global. So
Yeah,
welcome, Akshay, as we are celebrating Navratri, and you are part of that Navratri celebrations at the Coffee Con Show. So
thank
welcome.
you so much, Amir. Thank you so much for having me and giving this opportunity.
Yeah. So let me explain you. There will be three rounds: professional, personal, and a surprise rapid fire round. We will be in the hot seat. And here's the inspiration: AI in workforce. So let's begin.
Great.
Friends, I'm Namir Virani, host of Coffee Corner Legal Tech Evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So my first question. Your career began in M&A and tax advisory before pivoting to ESG compliance. What drove this professional evolution and how has the journey been?
Yeah. So I think the M&A journey, like my career, started into the year 2012 when I just entered into an internship for the mergers and acquisition advisory, and I think after having spent a number of years in the M&A domain, I felt that there was a need to, kind of look for newer avenues to enhance my relevance because we are currently in an ever evolving job market. The skill set continues to be relevant. They're becoming more specific for every job role that we look at. So I think that was the first point somewhere around 2016 or 17, after having spent 4 to 5 years in the domain, I realized that it is important for me to think beyond M&A because that was quite a niche area that very few people get the opportunity to work for. So I think there was a desire to work because I was familiar with the environment of business strategy, working with founders and promoters of Indian multinationals. And I kind of had an idea and an interest of looking at the business strategy part per se. So sustainability was not directly something that I wanted to get into, but I think somehow I came across opportunities. Uh, COVID came and it made an impact on all of us. So I think that kind of pushed me towards sustainability, looking at what kind of value proposition can I make in by utilizing my M&A knowledge as well.
Wow. So let's dive deep into conversation. You have worked on, let's start from your early days, M&A work. So uh, in an M&A, you have worked on cross-border deals and domestic deals. So what are the key elements you and your team have to focus on for vis-a-vis a cross-border versus a domestic deals?
So I think for my specific area of expertise and knowledge was tax advisory services. So I continued to remain in the transaction tax advisory, wherein the sole focus was on bringing tax efficiencies in the overall group structure, be it from a cross-border transaction point of view or within a pan-India group restructuring that we needed to do. So there were taxation and regulatory advantages that we needed to scrape from within the knowledge of the companies and try to understand how do we optimize and bring more cost efficiencies and minimize the tax impact while keeping in mind the regulatory laws and regulations both for India and for international tax agreements, let's say. So that kind of mindset we had to approach for every transaction.
Wow, beautiful. So, Akshay, ESG compliance is a relatively new and evolving space. What excites you most about working in this field?
I think every single day there is a new challenge when it comes to sustainability. I mean, let's be very honest. We are living in a world where we have like extremely divergent views about sustainability, and the spectrum is like quite wide. If I were to compare it with other subject matters, sustainability slash ESG continues to throw challenges, keep you on your toes, and there are difference in perspectives and opinions and how you approach a problem, and how do you actually convince the leadership and overall company's mindset uh, to deal with those problems. So it's not just simply compliance. I mean, you have to think of the broader part of how do you embed the sustainability part in your business strategy.
Wow. So, Akshay, how do you strike a balance between regulatory requirements and business practicality in sustainability strategies?
Yeah, quite an interesting question. I think it's it's something which you're never sure if you're able to strike the right balance. I would say the key is not to view regulatory requirements in simply a checklist. I mean, it is understandable for any business to look at the practical, I mean, be more pragmatic, and at the end of the day, make the necessary disclosures in compliance with the regulations. Having said that, I think you have to be far-sighted in how you strategize and how you plan ahead for all the compliances that you're making. What are the requirements under each of those legislations? So I think at that point is where there is an intersection between sustainability teams and the legal teams, where they need to strike a balance as to what is what is the long-term vision of the company as a core, cultural mindset. Where do we want to go 5, 10, 20 years from now? And at the same time, I think it is important to understand and be pragmatic with respect to what are we disclosing and what are the risks associated with it. I mean, greenwashing is a prominent word terminology that we often come across, and I won't specifically talk about the Indian or global landscape, but I think these are some of the areas that we need to be very cautious of when we, make any disclosures.
Wow. So, thank you for leading to my next question. In your experience, how are Indian companies catching up with global ESG standards?
Uh, while I have continued to work for a global company, and I think the perspective is quite different, to be honest, and how uh, I won't say on behalf of WSP. Of course, these all are my personal views throughout the show. But what I would say is that in my experience, in my research, multinational companies have a totally different take when it comes to embedding sustainability in their business strategy vis-a-vis the the Indian mindset. I am, I won't shy away from saying that in my view, we are still far off when we compare ourselves with our counterparts abroad, and there is a lot of work to be done on the ground. I mean, you can publish a BRSR report, you can continue to make those compliances, you can continue to participate in your CSR activities, but at the end of the day, are you really making any meaningful long-term impact, or is just a compliance checkbox?
Okay. So, in your uh, conversations, you bring up this topic of compliance checkbox.
Yeah.
Uh, you have this question: do you think sustainability today is a compliance checkbox or genuine driver of business growth? I need more elaboration because this we need more information or more depth.
Yes. Yes. I think. when I, spent a lot of time, a fair amount of time in this sustainability career journey, what I realized was if you really need to make an impact, if you really need to think about how to bring the best out of your own self when it comes to advising your colleagues, uh, sustainability has to be a mindset. It cannot be simply that I look at this regulation, these are the disclosure requirements, these are the filing requirements. I do that and I'm done for that particular year. I mean, you have to go beyond. You have to think of the kind of disclosures you're making, uh, in what way you report it. Have you made any meaningful impact in the past year? Have you done anything that really speaks about your culture and your view about the subject? And at the end of every conversation, I simply say sustainability is not different than a business strategy. These two things are not separate. You have to look sustainability in unison with your overall business mindset. Every stakeholder, directly or indirectly, continues to be affected. I mean, they got affected 50 years back. It's just a matter of more awareness. And I think as more and more stakeholders, government regulators, public activists, and then we have the institutional and activist investors, especially in on the Western side. Uh, I think as there is more awareness, companies are beginning to realize that uh, we will continue to be questioned if we are not thinking about it in the right way.
Wow. So, Akshay, how different is advising on restructuring deals from ensuring sustainability compliance uh, in your work areas?
I think the biggest difference was the turnaround time and the approach you had for when you were in consulting. Quick turnaround, fast thinking. There were different clients, so you have to think differently in each of the problems. The case studies was different. Here, I think the biggest difference I would say is the cultural and the mindset of long-term value creation. What you do right now is going to stay there in the public domain. Uh, so you need to be very mindful of your own strategy, how you plan your compliances. Is not just a year-on-year uh, understanding or thought process. You need to think, I think, at least 5 year down the line, how your overall compliance reporting is going to look like. Uh, it's very difficult because uh, due to geopolitical reasons and economic reasons, there are constant fluctuations, specifically in the domain of sustainability. We have some of the major leaders of some of the major economies who right now believe sustainability is something which is not that significant for any business or as a society in general. But then there is a counterbalance. There are people, for example, in the Europe region, or I think I would greatly appreciate, and I would like to highlight, even India has, started to think a lot on those lines. The government is doing a lot when it comes to embedding sustainability in day-to-day businesses, be it a small, like an MSME or a big, large multinational. So yeah, I think that's the case right now.
Wow. So let's go maybe down the lane. Can you share a moment where cross-functional collaboration, legal, finance, sustainability, ESG, truly clicked in your work?
To be very honest, I would say it happens every day. You because fortunately for me, I am at an intersection where I interact with a core corporate sustainability mindset, and I also try to look at the legal side of it. So there are divergent views. There are there are differences of opinions, how you navigate a particular compliance, uh, interpreting those regulatory uh, requirements, and trying to strike a balance. As I said earlier, you need to make sure that you do not go too excited in your disclosures. You have to be very diligent in what you do, and that applies, I think, the bigger the company is, the bigger their presence is across the globe. the more they need to be very careful of.
Wow. So, Akshay, according to you, what's the biggest misconception companies have when they hear ESG compliance?
I think although we already talked about the compliance tech box, but I think the biggest misconception is that they look at it, uh, sustainability and profitability separately. In my humble opinion, these two things are not separate. The more you think about sustainability, it's an all-encompassing aspect of any business. It affects societies, communities at an individual level, how you go about your daily lives. When you start to think at this molecular level, uh, you really start to connect the dots and think that every subject, every topic that you discuss is interconnected, both from a profitability point of view as well as from a regulatory point of view. So my suggestion is always to curtail your mindset of these things are separate. They are not. It's a common misconception right now.
Wow. So, my last question for your professional journey round, Akshay, what advice would you give to young professionals who want to move into ESG and sustainability space?
Yeah. Uh, I think you have to be genuinely be very curious about the subject. You need to be able to uh, have some sort of uh, I think respect for the subject. It of course we all go for economic reasons at the end of the day. We all appreciate that, but you need to have some degree of appreciation for the kind of work that you will be doing. Uh, you need to have some sense of uh, broad horizon in terms of open-mindedness. It's kind of at the cost of coming across as dramatic about this, but I say sustainability through your work, you trying to make this planet a better place is one of the things that I always think about. You cannot quantify it directly, but at the same time, you need to have some sort of relatability or connection to it. If you go simply like one is working in investment banking, one is in working in corporate taxation, and then sustainability is just another subject, I think you should think better than that.
Wow. So, let's go to the next round and understand Akshay as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
The most challenging part, Amir. So I think I'll first talk about my family. So I've been born and brought up in New Delhi. I live in a family of four. I have my parents and my elder brother. So my father is a retired businessman now, and my mother is a wonderful housewife, homemaker. And I would say in terms of formative years and my journey, I come from a very simple background, with no prominent education or influential people around me. Like, I come from a family of farmers. So as for me, I used to be a mediocre student up until my school years. Kind of an introvert in personality, but I would definitely say that I'm a thorough person in terms of the depth I go to, in terms of researching any subject or trying to understand every inch of uh, almost everything. Like my favorite channel used to be the Discovery. So uh, that's I think how I grew up, questioning everything around me. And there were too many what and hows that even sometimes my family could get irritated at me. Uh, so yeah, I think fortunately having born and bred in a hybrid social background because there was the rural aspect and the urban life, I was able to experience divergent opinion and perspectives about life, how people growing up and seeing different things. So it was not an isolation of one thing. and not mutually exclusive. So I think that really helped me to kind of appreciate even the smallest aspects of life and, build me as the person I am today.
Wow. So, which is your hobby or activity which helps you to recharge after a long week?
Uh, I would say I'm a photographer in my, off time. So nature photography, portrait photography is something I actively pursue beyond the office hours. Uh, I'm a huge fan of astronomy, so stargazing, planets tracking. These are some of the areas which, whenever I get a chance, I go up to the mountains and explore that. But on a regular basis, although I must admit and confess that I've not been able to do so, but cooking and baking is something that uh, brings me a lot of joy. So yeah, I mean, whenever I get a chance to do that, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Wow. So, uh, what are your plans to go for a nature photography during Diwali?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's probably the best time you want to step out of Delhi. Yeah, I mean, in probably somewhere in the mountains. I think I was just planning about doing some mountain landscape photography this time, and so yeah, I mean, that's something I'm looking forward to for spend a few days and doing that.
So, if someone wants to take up apna ye astronomy as a hobby,
Yeah,
what are your ye suggestions, tips?
I think get a nice telescope, learn about it, and try to understand. I think it's something of a, I would say, natural interest that you just don't grow in a couple of months. I think it's something that when you start to be more observant and more open-minded, and that's when you start to have these kind of weird hobbies, I would say.
Wow. So, Akshay, if your friend were to describe you in 3 words, what would they say?
Oh, I think reliability, uh, trustworthiness, and I think a man of deep faith.
Wow. So, which is a book or movie which has left a lasting impact on you?
One of my favorite movies continues to be, I would say, Interstellar, starring Matthew McConaughey. So yeah, that movie was about space travel, and although the genre was sci-fi, I think it kind of the message was kind of different. So that's a very uh, touching movie for me, something I continue to watch every now and then.
Wow. Okay. So, what's a childhood memory that still makes you smile?
I think bicycling for hours, that has always been the case with me. I mean, I would just go on for 2 3 hours at a stretch to just go alone all by myself and cover distances, and just I used to feel that I'm flying around.
Wow. So, my last one is a googly one. Describe Akshay in one line.
Um, I think I believe in the concept that life is just way too beautiful for you to ever think about giving up. And if life has happened with you, then you surely should continue to thrive and never give up, no matter what.
Wow. So, let's put in the hot seat, the rapid fire round ESG or M&A.
ESD,
Your favorite color,
white,
your go to comfort food.
South Indian cuisine,
Wow. One word that defines your professional journey so far.
resilience.
Best piece of advice received.
Always stay up to date with whatever is happening around you.
Wow. Your dream travel place.
Japan,
Your favorite cake.
more of a tart person, lemon tart.
Wow. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Tea, any given day.
Okay, let's discuss.
Yeah. Cheers.
You did well, and here's a book which will be autographed sent to you.
Thank you so much.
So, friends, from the fast-paced world of M&A now to the ESG and the future-driven domain of sustainability compliance, Akshay's journey proves that adaptability is a hallmark of a true professional. His story is not just about career transitions, but about embracing change, finding purpose in impact-driven work, and constantly pushing boundaries, and also his creative interest in nature photography and astronomy. So, as we conclude this episode, one thing stands out: Akshay's career reflects how today's professionals aren't defined by a single role, by the ability to evolve with the world around them. So, subscribe to the Coffee Corner Show, where there are 500 plus speakers who have shared their professional, personal journeys. Get inspiration from them, implement in your lives, and have some hobbies, interest, so that will have you a work-life balance. And as Akshay shared, he was an introvert, but during conversation he was an extrovert, and these hobbies like he shared his insights beautifully, and we motivate him to continue sharing his journey on other platforms, forums. So we will meet another coffee speaker or a cup of coffee and continue a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you for having me.